You know, throughout my whole life, I've always been jealous of a certain group of people. These are people who always seem to have it all together, who always seem like they were on track and living out their lives and consistent towards their goals, and they knew what they wanted in life and they weren't going to settle for anything less. They were people with purpose and direction, and it made me jealous because I thought that God has given them something that I don't have. But what I've realized is that for us individuals who feel this way, or who currently feel this way, when we feel stagnant, when we feel like our life has no purpose or direction and meaning and we're just going through the motions, what I didn't realize is that we are just at a low vibration and we need to raise our frequency. And the other side of this is a life that we cannot even fathom, because in a low vibrational state we are not going to see the doors, we're not going to see the opportunities, we're not going to see the synchronicities. We're not going to be truly seeing what the universe has to offer because we're going to be viewing the world in a low vibrational state. But on the other side of this, when we embody a new frequency, when we embody a high vibrational state, then that is when the doors will start to open. That is when we start to walk in alignment with our true selves, and that is when our purpose will unfold and we will know what to do with our lives and how to move forward in accordance to our higher self. So if you're feeling stuck in life right now, if you're feeling stagnant, or maybe even if you're at rock bottom, then raising your frequency might just be your ticket out to living the life that you are destined to live. And in this video, I'm going to be giving 5 of the most powerful tips on how you can raise your vibration. So over the weekend, I went to the Botanical Gardens in the Blue Mountains, so it's 2 hours away from Sydney. And it was absolutely beautiful. And when I went to the gardens, there were a lot of workers there. They were tending to the garden. So they were mowing the grass, they were fixing up the hedges, they were sweeping the leaves. They were just making the garden as beautiful as possible. And I saw this quote at one of the gardens, and it says, "Your mind is a garden, your thoughts are the seeds. You can grow flowers or you can grow weeds." Now I know I added this here. It was a bit faded, so I'm just taking my best guess of what it actually said. But essentially, your mind is basically a garden. So if you're at rock bottom, when you're at a low vibrational state, there is a chance that you are just consuming too much bad media, useless media, the news, scrolling through Instagram and comparing yourself and feeling bad about yourself, and just consuming a lot of negativity. That will put you in a low vibrational state, guaranteed. And I know it's natural for us to turn the television and see the news, or to open up our newsfeed and see negativity. But you are the gardener. You are the one who is able to allow it to come into your mind. And you are also the one that is allowed to plant the seeds that you want to plant in your mind. You are the operant power. You can choose to read books instead. You can choose to listen to positivity. And I've put these signals here to visually represent what is happening to your frequency based on what you consume. So when you consume negativity, your frequency is all messed up. It is all scattered, it is all noisy. But when you consume good stuff, when you learn more about yourself and learn more about the world, then you have a nice clear frequency. And that is you resonating at a high vibration. And like I said before, that is when you'll start to see opportunities and the world come to you. That is when you will be most in aligned with your purpose. In a high frequency state, that is when you open the gateway, open the doorway towards your purpose, letting itself be known to you. So some actionable steps for this is to really ask yourself, what media are you consuming that is not adding to your life in a positive way? Is it Instagram? Is it TikTok? Is it YouTube? Is it Facebook? Whatever it is, I want you to be completely honest with yourself, because you are the only one who knows what is messing up your frequency. The truth will set you free. So now, number 2 is to connect to your purpose. Now this is a quote from the book Way of the Superior Man, and the chapter which I got this from is chapter 11, "If you don't know your purpose, discover it now." And he says, "Without a conscious life purpose, a man is totally lost, drifting, adapting to events rather than creating events. Without knowing his life purpose, a man lives a weakened, impotent existence." And I think that's an extremely powerful one. Like I said before, I was jealous of the people who seem to have purpose and direction in their lives, because they seem to be so consistent and know where they wanted to go and didn't settle for anything less. But if you don't have a purpose and you just drift through life, and when you drift through life, then that's when you feel a lack of meaning, and that's what eats away at your soul and causes you to run away from your problems through things like drinking and video games, which was what I was doing. And that is not the way that we should live. We should live especially as men, with purpose and direction. And I want to further talk about purpose because many of you guys may be asking, I don't know what my purpose is. And I don't want you to feel bad if you don't know what your purpose is, because that is the way it works. Purpose comes in layers. And I think I can explain this from a scene from Shrek. So Shrek was getting angry at Donkey, and Shrek was like, ogres are like onions. Onions have layers. Ogres have layers. You get it? We both have layers. And I think that was a perfect analogy and explanation of us as well. Like we all have layers. We have layers to our purpose. As you peel back one layer, there's going to be another layer. And it's just going to keep going on and on and on forever. Because self is infinite. There's always more to learn about self. And that is a pretty beautiful thing, that you can just keep learning more about yourself. Anyway, back to the point. What if you do not know what your purpose is? What I have found is that your purpose and layers of your purpose will uncover itself once you start following your inner voice. And I think the best way to explain is to give you guys an example from my own life. So for my first purpose layer, when I was in rock bottom, when I was stagnant, when I was overweight and drinking a lot, my first purpose layer came from a superficial reason actually. I wanted to lose weight, gain muscle, and look more attractive to women. That is my first purpose layer. As superficial as that may sound, for 2 years, my purpose was to just build as much muscle and lose as much fat as possible. And after that purpose layer, I started to discover spirituality because I realized my own power in changing my own circumstance. So it led me to asking deeper truths about life and the universe and spirituality. And that's what led to my next purpose layer, which was trying to find out God by studying religion and reading spiritual texts and meditating and journaling and trying to figure out who I am. And that was another layer in my life. And now the current layer in my life is I just want to share that with other people. That's why I started this YouTube channel. Something seemed to draw me towards sharing the experiences and what I've learned to the world so they can get value out of it. Because I just want to pass it forward. It's changed my life and I want other people to feel the same way. So I hope that makes sense. Like you follow one thing and it will start to unfold as you follow it. The path illuminates as you walk it. So I want you to guys, if you don't know what your purpose is, to think about something in your life which is calling to you. That's the best way I can explain it. What is calling to you? Is it to play the guitar or learn a new instrument? Or is it to volunteer somewhere? Or is it to go for a career change? But if you follow your intuition, the path will illuminate as you walk it. I 100% guarantee it. If you don't know your purpose, follow what is calling to you and the path will illuminate as you walk it. My third tip is shadow work and inner healing. Now, if you haven't watched The Last Airbender, I 100% recommend it. One of the greatest shows ever made. I know it looks like it's a kid's show, but there is such deep spiritual and esoteric wisdom embedded in the show. So essentially the show is about Aang, and Aang needs to save the world. He's the avatar, and he's the only one that can master all 4 elements. So all 4 elements are like fire, water, air, and earth. And the Fire Nation is attacking everyone and trying to take over. So essentially Aang needs to stop them. And what caught me by surprise when I watched this show for the first time was that it seemed like the show wasn't really focused around him trying to learn each element. The show was focused more about him healing himself internally, healing all of his traumas and doubts and insecurities and fears, all the low vibrational emotions he has to confront. And that's what the guru is trying to help him with. And essentially what the show is trying to make emphasis on is that as he heals himself internally, then the outer world will be alright. When a man is right, his world will be right. And it sort of reminds you of the Kabbalion, how it says, as within, so without. And Rumi's statement of, if you want to change the world, first start with yourself. And so it's very interesting to see that the savior of the world, to save the world, it's not to go out and learn earthbending and firebending and a lot of combat and stuff. Although there are a lot of combat scenes there, but that wasn't the main priority here. The main priority of the show was to do the shadow work and do the inner healing. And there's a good analogy here of that. There's a good analogy here of chakras. This is where I first learned of chakras. And essentially what I learned was that there's all of the internal negative feelings which you are not confronting, which is in your shadow, is actually holding you back from your true power, your true potential. And I truly believe that if you address all of your emotional and spiritual and mental baggage, then you'll metaphorically allow the river of chakra to flow through your body, and that is where you embody this high vibrational state. So in the low vibrational state, like I mentioned, there's traumas, limiting beliefs, fears, doubts, insecurities, which Aang needed to address. And once he addressed and overcame that, then that's when he was able to reach the avatar state. And then the avatar state is where he had access to all of the power and the wisdom of all the previous avatars throughout the ages. And I think in a similar way, we have our own avatar state, which is our higher self, this high vibrational state. When you unblock all of these negative things within you and confront it, then you can start to feel belief, faith, love, courage, confidence. And that's when you can actually see changes reflected in the outer world, because you've changed yourself. You've changed yourself internally. You've raised your vibration. I do mention the thing about purpose before, of like how you need to find your purpose and you need to live in accordance with your purpose. But one thing in which I've found is that once you actually find your purpose, it's not that easy, because your purpose will scare the shit out of you. Your struggle is great because your calling is higher. Like if your purpose scares the shit out of you, if you know who you need to become and you're scared of it, then that's good. You are on the right path. But you need to acknowledge that fear is a part of the journey. And here's a quote from Abraham Maslow. We fear our highest possibilities. We are generally afraid to become that which we can glimpse in our most perfect moment under conditions of greatest courage. We enjoy and even thrill to the godlike possibilities we see in ourselves in such peak moments. And yet we simultaneously shiver with weakness, awe, and fear before these very same possibilities. So I've got some journaling questions here for you. So I want you to think about your purpose, or the highest vision or the highest version of yourself that you can be. So maybe you want to be like your favorite author, or your favorite motivational speaker, or your favorite YouTuber. Now think about if you want to become that person. You may start to feel fear, and ask yourself, what do you fear? Why don't you believe in yourself? Do you believe your dream is possible? Why or why not? What are you insecure about? In which areas of your life do you doubt yourself? You'll need to dig deep into your past to understand your shadow. Shining the light of consciousness on the shadow is the path to integrating it. And this can be very difficult, to really go back into your past and confront the demons, because like I said before, some of the demons and dragons which you're going to face are the ones which you've created for yourself. But sometimes it's the ones that others have potentially created for you. So maybe it might be in childhood, maybe it's in school, I don't know what it is, but it's up to you to figure out where it comes from. So I'll give you an example of my one. So what am I insecure about? One of my biggest insecurities, which I've journaled and found out, is the insecurity of looking incompetent. Because during my university degree, I wasn't the smartest person. There were tons of people way smarter than me, and I always felt like I was the dumbest person in my peer group. And I think this insecurity carried into all other areas of my life, where whenever I wanted to try something new, I had this subconscious fear of not wanting to look incompetent. I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to look like I'm failing. And if I didn't address the root of this fear, or the root of this insecurity, then it's going to grow and branch to all other areas of my life, which it did. So in a similar way, I want you guys to approach these questions with that level of openness and vulnerability to confront and understand your own shadow. Because only through understanding can you find the path to love. And love is the highest frequency, it's the highest vibration. And when you see the world through love and operate from the center of love, then that is a high vibrational state. That is when you're connected to your purpose and God and your higher self. And that's when the universe will want to conspire to help you. And now number 4 is to spend some time alone. There's a mad quote from Nikola Tesla. So Nikola Tesla was a hectic genius, man. Like, he invented so many things, and one really cool thing about him is that I reckon he was into like spirituality. I'm pretty sure he was like reading like the Vedas, or some spiritual text. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, he's got this quote: "No big laboratory is needed in which to think. Originality thrives in seclusion, free of outside influences beating upon us to cripple the creative mind. Be alone. That is the secret of invention. Be alone. That is when ideas are born." So whenever we don't spend time alone, whenever we always spend time with other people, then how are we going to find out who we actually are? Because there's that quote which goes, "You are the sum of the 5 people you surround yourself most with," or something like that. And essentially it is the case. So if 4 of the people you hang out with are always drinking, then you're going to be the 5th person that's always drinking. And the same applies in all aspects of your life. So how are you supposed to discover your own unique vibration, your own frequency, your own authentic self if you are constantly being influenced by your friends and family? So, a few years ago, when I had my spiritual awakening, I understood this and I decided to spend some time alone. So, I decided to fly over to New Zealand, pretty close to Australia. And that's when I literally just shut off everything. I deleted social media. I wasn't listening to music. I was just driving around and climbing mountains and just trying to hear my own inner voice. And that's where I truly found myself. And when I got back, I decided to also at some point move out of my parents' house just so I can live alone, just so I can see who I truly am without the external influences influencing me. And when you spend time in solitude, you don't have to be a full loner, full like monk mode and live in a cave for the next 10 years. No, like it can just be a season in your life. If you are feeling lost and you really want to know who you are, then I would 100% recommend just spending some time alone, finding out ways to do so. And it may be difficult. I know some people have kids or like a lot of commitments and may live like with mates. And so here's some tips of how you can spend some time alone. So you can even do like a 20-minute walking meditation where you try to empty your mind while you're walking and just be present to the moment. That can be a time where you learn more about yourself. Also, no distractions while commuting. So if you're driving to work or taking train, don't consume anything. Don't scroll on your phone. Don't listen to any music. Just be alone and just think, just allow yourself to be. Also, alone time when exercising, that's probably one of my favorite ones. Gym time is me time. It's when I get to spend time just by myself. Also, journal once a week and read 5 pages a day. That is a really big one. It sounds so little, but that will actually make a huge difference. Okay, so number 5 is train hard and eat clean. Now, one thing which I really underestimated, which would have changed my life if I knew this a lot earlier, is the power of diet and exercise in raising your vibration. So for the longest time when I was studying engineering, not connected to my purpose, I was also not exercising and I was eating like shit. So that was the lowest vibrational state which I just ever was in. Like I literally didn't want to live. Like it was shit. Like life wasn't the greatest. And I just felt so disconnected from God. I didn't even believe in God. I just thought that God was just for weirdos. Like that's the level of like low vibration that I was at. It's crazy of how diet and exercise was literally the gateway through which I found myself and God and my higher self. Like I said in the purpose layers, my first purpose which I did was train hard and eat clean. And I do think that for every single individual that this is going to be a gateway towards them reaching their higher self. And this is just what I do. You don't have to do the same thing. So I used to only be a gym bro, and that did really show me my higher self and everything. But now I've just added on running and martial arts, and I feel like it's just next level. Like I think getting your heart rate up, doing a lot of cardio, I really feel that you get like a high from that, like an endorphin high from of really sending it hard in a cardio session. Also with diet, now I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a doctor, so don't quote me on anything, but I've changed to a low carb, high fat, high protein diet. So before I was eating more carbs and lower fat, but when I reversed it around to do a low carb, high fat diet, then that is the biggest game changer for me. Crazy. On top of that, I've stopped eating processed food and fast food, and oh man, like my life is completely changed. I feel like I've quantum shifted towards a different version of me. Like I feel like I'm a completely different person. I know what you may be thinking. You may be questioning high fat. Isn't that bad for you? Cholesterol, yada yada da. But from my research, I think that is all misconceptions. I don't believe that healthy fats are bad for you. I think they're actually good for you. And this is the best that I've ever felt. So I do encourage you to do your own research on it and to try to really understand like where the whole idea of fat being bad comes from. And I'm going to link a video down in the description below. It's from a YouTube channel called What I've Learned, which really opened my eyes on the misconceptions around fat being bad. And this is what I feel. I feel 30% less baseline anxiety throughout the day. I don't have any more afternoon crash after lunch. I don't have caffeine anymore and I feel great. And I don't have a brain fog from all the carbs, because I think that eating too many carbs gives you brain fog. Like I literally feel like I'm thinking so much clearer. Like You know how like in Limitless he takes a pill and then he's just so much smarter and everything. I feel like it's sort of similar to that. Not to that extent. I'm not like solving crazy algorithms and whatever he does. I forgot the movie. But anyway, I feel like I can think a lot clearer. I've literally been talking for ages now and I still feel clear. And before, I wouldn't be able to think clearly or flow with my own words when making a video. I would need a script and read it word for word, but now I feel like I can flow. And I feel like, yeah, like I just feel like this is operating in a different capacity. And yeah, you can just try it for yourself. I'm not going to try to sell it to you anymore. Alright, so like I said before, finding out your purpose can be a bit difficult. And so that's why I made this free worksheet. It's a higher self worksheet. And it helps guide you along your journey of discovering who you are through these journaling prompt questions. Because sometimes when you open an empty journal, you don't really know what to write. So this does the job for you. It has all the questions that you need to ask yourself, and especially the deep questions of trying to address your fears and your insecurities and everything. So really think that will help you guys. Also, what I've taught in this video is just a glimpse of what I teach in my Higher Self program. And essentially the Higher Self program is where I coach you on your journey towards your higher self, where we can undo the conditioning and the limiting beliefs and the negative patterns which has been holding you back, so you can finally move forward in life and make steps towards your higher self. So if you're on the higher self path of trying to figure out who you are and trying to figure out your purpose in life, I'm offering a free 45-minute clarity call where we talk about you, your journey, where you want to go, what's been holding you back, so you walk away from the call with more clarity and direction and understanding on how you can move forward. And also after the call, we can explore options of whether you're a good fit for the program, whether it's right for you, or even if it's not, then it's completely fine. I'm sure that you're going to be walking away from the call with a lot of value and a lot of clarity on your direction moving forward. So if you're interested, link down in the description below to book a call. And as always, thank you guys for watching and see you in the next video. Peace.